Hi everyone, welcome to CEO Meets. My name's Pip Wilkins. I'm the Chief Executive at the British Franchise Association, and I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Jenni Dunman from Daisy First Aid. So Jenni, the first question, you were a former police officer. So this was a really exciting thing for me because it's a completely different background. So tell us a bit about your background and why you really set up Daisy First Aid and got involved in franchising.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I guess it is a completely different change from being a police officer, expecting to do my 30-year service and retire with my pension. And then things just changed and my whole life went in a completely different direction. But yeah, I mean, I loved being a police officer. I was a detective sergeant in London. I kind of specialised in Sapphire, which is the sexual offences and the serious violence. Loved it, loved getting stuck in, loved the whole aspect of investigating. And yeah, I guess I'm a police officer at heart, really. But I've got 3 children. And when I was pregnant with my 3rd child, I was still working in the police. And my friend's daughter choked on a cookie. And we were actually out together. Yeah. So we were in a local coffee shop. We had our kids in the high chairs. We were giving them cookies. We were having a chat. Her daughter started to choke and her response was to freeze because she didn't know what to do. And it was just that moment of absolute panic. But being a police officer, I'm really used to dealing with first aid emergencies. So of all different types, serious ones and, you know, the minor ones. So I was able to step in and fortunately remove the blockage, and her daughter was absolutely fine and made a full recovery within about 20 seconds.
Brilliant.
Yeah, but what it did is I went home that night and I was like, wow, why don't parents know this? Like, this is basic stuff. There are amazing classes, as we know, for children. We spend an awful lot of money on children. But the fundamental basics is if your child stops breathing or if they choke or, you know, one of the many other subjects, we're not equipped. And there wasn't anything out there that just did that. There was obviously the amazing, you know, big corporate companies that deal with first aid, but nothing that specialized in parents and just doing it from a parental point of view without kind of the whole scary aspect. So, so that's why I launched Daisy First Aid, just with the mindset to teach a couple of the mums in my local area, earn a little bit of extra money from statutory maternity pay because we know it's rubbish, and bring myself in just a little bit of cash. So that's how it started.
And then what made you then look at it and go down the franchising route? Because obviously it's a huge thing to do is to set up and franchise a business and then, you know, manage franchisees. What was the motivation there?
Yeah, so I suddenly found myself inundated with inquiries. I feel like I hit a niche that wasn't being done. And my whole ethos was I want a flexible work-life balance that fits around my children. And suddenly I found that that's not quite what I was getting because I was getting so many inquiries from further and further away. So I looked at ways, and bearing in mind, I'd never run my own business before. This was all very, very new. I didn't know how. So I looked at employing different staff and how that route would work. And then I looked at, you know, could I spread myself thinner? And then I sort of stumbled across the franchising world because I had no experience in it. And I realized that I could teach other people to do exactly what I was doing in other parts of the country. And they could also have that flexible work-life balance that I have. So that's what we did. So I spent a year researching, learning, testing, because I didn't want to put anything out there that was substandard, or, you know, I wanted to be really confident if someone was trusting and investing in me. And then I took on my first 2 franchisees after that first year, so within 18 months. And we've now got 97 territories across the country.
Oh, wow. So talk to us about what you look for. I mean, is it someone that's got to be qualified in first aid that comes on as a franchisee, or can you train that?
So it is slightly different to people that we look for, and we're very mindful that we don't bring on people that are going to scare parents and tell their terrifying stories. And there are lots of first aid trainers who are amazing, but they like to tell that kind of story, and it's not what we're about. They don't need a first aid background because we can teach them, but generally we do attract police officers, nurses, paramedics, cabin crew, teachers, those type of people anyway tend to gravitate to us. But actually we do have, you know, plenty of amazing franchisees who have got no business background, no franchise background, no first aid background, because we've got such a good system in place that we can teach them everything they need to know.
So what are the key attributes you're looking for then?
Honestly, kindness. I think it's important that we say from the very beginning that when you buy into a franchise, this is not giving you all your customers. This is you are having a business that you're going to have to work on and grow and do a lot of the work yourself. It's not just doing the classes, it's everything else that it encompasses. So I think we're always really honest about that. So we need people that have got that kind of entrepreneurial or that business mind. They want to grow a business, but they want the support in the background helping them do it, which is really, really important. But we also need people that have got a really positive outlook on life. People that love children is a massive help.
If you're going to save their life, you've got to like them first. And what does a typical day look like? So say I was to sign up as a franchisee, what would my kind of day-to-day working life look like?
So most of our trainers either have other jobs or they fit it around their family life or commitments. So it might be that they have their emails on their phone and they can check their emails or incoming bookings from parents while they're on the move, or maybe they'll sit down in the morning and go through their emails and do their bookings. They might then have class, and most of our classes are 2 hours. So they'll put all their kit, their mannequins and their bandages and everything in the car, go to a class, which can either be at a local venue or it could be in people's houses, go and run a 2-hour class for parents, carers, childcare professionals. We even go into schools and do it for all the kids, which is really fun.
Wow.
But generally it is either a 1 or a 2-hour class, or they can do the ones for childcare professionals, which are a full day. Run their class, and then whatever they need to fit in around their classes, they can. They have the choice when they want to do the classes, when they want to take the bookings. And I think that's important, because I never want to miss like parents' evening or sports day or anything like that. And I wouldn't expect my trainers to do it either. So, you know, they've got that flexibility to choose.
So it's a really flexible opportunity that will fit around someone's general kind of lifestyle, which is what you joined the BFA for, which is fab. So COVID was something that massively impacted you and the kind of sector that you're in. You're coming out of that now. We're kind of almost back to normal. What's the plans look like for the rest of this year and beyond?
Yeah, I mean, we spent the last 2 years just looking after our franchisees, and we're doing an awful lot of work, more on work from sort of mental health perspective, I think, actually, than from the business perspective. But what we're seeing now is an incredible growth in the classes. We know that parents want to get out and about and they want to book the classes. So we're really focusing on growth now, growth for our franchisees, getting them bigger and better targets to meet. And also for us as well, you know, we got hit during COVID. We lost some trainers along the way, like everyone did, and fortunately we've brought it all back now, so we're at the same level, which just astounds me and delights me, actually. But yeah, so growth for both the franchisees and for us this year, definitely.
Oh, well, your passion absolutely comes out 1,000%. So I think people buy from people, so you're definitely in the right role. In terms of, I asked the same question to everybody, but I have a kind of a 2-part question for you. If you were to give advice to somebody that's looking to invest in a franchise, what would you tell them to do? Key thing.
Oh gosh, research everything. Research the business in as much detail as you can. Speak to the other franchisees. Speak to the franchisees that are already in that network doing what you want to do. So you get like that. It's all very well speaking to a franchisor or you know, the sales team, but you want to hear it from the ground. You want to get that real life experience. So I would always expect people to do that. And also look at your market and make sure that what you want to do, there is a market for it within your area, for sure. But I think one thing I've learned over the years is always ask for help. You know, don't feel like you expected to know it. I started this not knowing anything, and you know, I've learned from some amazing people, and I hope now I'm in a position where sometimes I can give a little bit of advice as well.
Well, that was going to be my second question. So as someone that came from no background of franchising, no business background, you obviously franchised what is now a hugely successful business. So what would be your top tip if someone has got a business that they're thinking, maybe I'll franchise this?
That I think, and this is genuinely from the heart, I think the franchise industry is one of the kindest, most supportive industries that I know. Anyone that reaches out to a franchisor that has a genuine interest in franchising their business will be met with a lot of love, I think, and that's certainly from my experience, and certainly from people that come to me. But do speak to other franchisors, because there's a lot of support. You know, it doesn't necessarily need to be the, you know, paying for a huge package for someone else to do. There's an awful lot of stuff that you can do by yourself, and people will help you.
Fantastic. Hashtag stronger together and all that.
Absolutely.
It was awesome talking to you today. Thank you so much for your time, Jenni. Really appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me.